energy forecast for September 2023. So on September 3rd, we have Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, finally going direct after her many, many weeks in a retrograde. Of course, Venus entered into her retro shade period, let's say, on June 19th. But of course, it did take her a little bit of time until she actually went retrograde, which took place on July 22nd. So on September 3rd, we are finally bringing Venus back out of the underworld, back to life, back to surface level, where she, over the last couple of weeks, has had a major change of heart. She essentially broke herself down, just like a caterpillar would do inside of a cocoon in order to emerge as the butterfly. But in order for that caterpillar to actually turn into the butterfly, it has to turn to mush. It has to totally dissolve the old sense of self before the new self has a chance in actually emerging from that great cocoon. We've seen Venus be kind of reborn, rebirthed, resurrected, reactivated, if you will, on August 13th, when she teamed up with the sun. That kind of closed the door, if you will, on the final petal in her flower orbit of life. That, of course, is the whole 8-year topics and themes that we just brought to a close in order to enter into a brand new energy cycle. And because this particular retrograde was in Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac, this is why we've definitely been changing a lot to do with what it is that we value, what it is that is on our priority list, who and what actually brings us happiness and joy and safety, security, and stability in our lives. There's been a lot to think about. There's been a lot to really dissect and analyze. And now that Venus is kind of going direct, granted, she will be in the post-retrograde shadow period until October 7th, October 8th, depending on where it is that you're at in the world. It is going to be a very low, slow, steady pace and trying to kind of sit up, dust ourselves off, clean ourselves up enough to actually present this new version of self to the world. We are going to see over the course of September little tiny moves, little tiny actions, little tiny changes that we're able to make, mostly by getting rid of things, mostly by cutting things off, clearing things out, collapsing the old, if you will. This is really feeding off of a lot of the topics and themes that we had no choice but to face as we sat in that dark pit of our lowest self-worth, our lowest self-confidence, just understanding the decisions that our old self made in order to create the system, the circumstance, the situation, the reality that we're currently in. And now, realistically, looking to get out of. So this is why it's kind of really had a lot of funk, a lot of heaviness, a lot of weight in our lives, because it is not fun to A, look back on the decisions and the choices that have shaped us into who it is that we are, B, not really like who it is that we are because, of course, we allowed ego to have too much control and put us in situations and circumstances that we're now not in alignment with. And C, it doesn't feel good to realistically know that doing the right thing is the hardest thing to do, which is to rearrange and reorganize our physical realms and the people in it. Because Venus is so focused on relationships, on money matters, on long-term goals, because so much has changed, because we have essentially changed, there's a lot of questions still. There's still a lot of confusion. As we move throughout the month of September, things are going to become more and more clear. And we do have an ability to really see both the forest past the trees and the trees that make up the forest, so to speak. We have to let our heart lead. That Leo energy is the real, raw, authentic soul self. We have to understand that we have the ability right now to give birth to create a realm, a reality, a circumstance that looks good, that feels good, that brings us happiness, brings us joy, brings us safety, security, and stability. All of the things that we are currently lacking. All of the things that we've been all kind of knotted up over on what it is that we're going to do to solve these problems. So it's good in a sense that Venus is going direct when she does, because we're still very much in Virgo season, which is helping us to identify the problems in order for us to fix, heal, and resolve them. We're going to have plenty of energy, plenty of, I'm going to say, opportunity to kind of piece together what needs to stay and piece together what needs to go. So this is going to be, again, a major heart activation. It is going to take some time for us to fully be able to understand and articulate what it is that our heart is asking us to pursue. But here's the thing. We may not know where we're going. We may not know what we want, but we know where we're not staying. We know what we're not going back to, and we sure as hell know what it is that we don't want. So if you find that you're lacking the clarity as far as defining the path, the direction moving forward goes, then don't. We have 7 planets in a retrograde. Therefore, this is about looking back. This is about identifying what it is that we don't want to continue to experience, what we don't want to kind of rehash as far as patterns and behaviors go, where it is that we need to make a move, make a change, to break away from what it is that we've created that we're no longer in alignment with. So using the framework of, okay, maybe I don't know where it is that I'm going and I don't know what it is that I want, but I know where I'm not going back to and I know what I don't want. Use that framework to figure out, A, what needs to kind of be cut off, rearranged, manipulated in your physical realm in order to create the kind of space that you need to kind of breathe from the restrictions, from the blockages, from the confines that these particular topics and themes are putting on you. And then B, take a good look at the alternatives that you could create as far as the possibilities, the dreams, the visions go that will kind of fill up the space of the void that is being left by the removal, the endings, the closures that we're currently creating in our physical realm, where mostly relationships and money matters are concerned. A lot of this stems out of the self-worth, the self-value, the self-love that we're now moving into. We weren't in it. That's why we fell into the dark pit. We had to break ourselves down and beat ourselves up. Now that we have this new version of self, this new perspective, this new worth and value within ourselves, now we have to manipulate the boundaries of our current relationship dynamics. Every single time that we boss up and change, we need to implement and create new boundaries in order to protect ourselves. So it may not be that you're cutting people off or out for good, but there is some kind of change and transformation that's needed within the relationship dynamic in order for you to have the space, the distance, the freedom to really do what is right for you, what your heart is asking you to do, what your heart is asking you to pursue.